Next on Worcester News tonight, more than a week into a strike and Stop and Shop workers say there is no end in sight. The message an expert says the union is sending. Plus, the wait is over. Local reaction to the release of Special Counsel Robert Mueller's Russia report. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Olivia Lemon. Now entering their second week on strike, an expert says Stop and Shop union workers are sending a specific message to their employer. The strike is costing the company millions in revenue, and on-strike workers say the two sides don't appear any closer to an agreement. Our Chandler Walsh joins us now to explain. Chandler.
Olivia, a professor at Worcester State, says the strike is not just about an immediate contract negotiation, it's also about the future of corporations like Stop and Shop and their workers. Anthony DeLera says the Stop and Shop strike is symbolic of the future. The assistant political science professor at Worcester State says it will send a message about labor and workers in a field with growing technology like automation and self-checkout.
The introduction of their Marty the robot cleaner came right at the time where a possible labor strike was being considered. From their perspective, the timing was not conducive to their position.
Now in week 2, DeLera says the strike also shows the growth of a union.
People tend to think of the history of labor unions and strikes. We think of people in the trade unions or in the teachers' unions.
Emotions heightened at the Shrewsbury location Thursday when a bus of non-union workers crossed the picket line.
This is the first time they've arrived here. Every day they're getting them into more and more stores.
Beverly Doonan has worked for Stop and Shop for 38 years and says it's a slap in the face.
We're the ones that made this company what it is today. Not them.
On-strike workers aren't worried the replacements will bring customers back. They say they feel the community's support.
Police union, carpenters union, painters union, they've all walked with us. All the help that we've been getting through people dropping stuff off.
DeLera says estimates show Stop and Shop has lost around $120 million this week. He says damage to the company will depend on how long the strike lasts.
There are instances where stores have suffered some permanent damage as a result of a long, drawn-out labor strike. I'm not certain yet that that would be the case here.
Stop and Shop says they've offered fair and responsible contracts and remain in active negotiations to reach new agreements. Chandler Walsh, Worcester News Tonight.
And former Vice President Joe Biden and Congressman Jim McGovern joining striking workers at different locations across the state today. Stop and Shop is the biggest grocery store chain in New England, and the union is hoping big-name politicians will help resolve the strike. The former vice president spoke to a crowd of hundreds at a rally outside a store in Dorchester. Congressman Jim McGovern joined workers on the picket line at the Stop and Shop on Grafton Street. Stop and Shop says the contract they are offering is fair and better than most of its competitors. We have a lot more news to get to tonight, but right now we want to get a first check of our forecast. A cloudy day today, and it looks like there's rain on the way for the holiday weekend. Here's meteorologist Tim Kelly with more.
Yeah, we had the clouds today. Very interesting, but not scary like the ones in the deep south. Day 2 of a 3 or maybe even 4-day severe weather outbreak. Yesterday, Texas, Oklahoma. Today, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama. Tomorrow, more like Georgia, South Carolina, and the remnant of those storms come our way. Even had a patch of thunderstorms kind of form in the cooler air over Pennsylvania and New York. It was a warm front that brought in a few raindrops, even a little bit of sleet. Did you see that early this morning? And now there's a thick cloud out there. It's fairly windy. The temperature in the mid-40s, and it's not going to change that much. As a matter of fact, it goes up a little bit overnight, 53 at midnight. Now, there could be some breaks in the clouds, heavy rain off to the north, heavy fog and drizzle off to the south, 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. But watch, not too much in the way of rain. Green is rain. Look at the temperature, 63, 64 here. The sun is a little bit brighter to the north. If we get some sun tomorrow, we can get to 70. Very sticky, very windy. We'll talk more about this and hopes for a brighter Easter coming up in a few minutes.
All right, thank you, Tim. A suspect in the death of a Clinton man is found dead at a hospital prison. 48-year-old Dean Valches was charged in connection to the death of Roger Bemis in February. According to the Worcester County District Attorney's Office, Valches was found dead this morning in his bed at the Lemuel Shattuck Hospital Correction in Boston. The death is being investigated by the state police detectives assigned to the Suffolk County District Attorney's Office. Millbury police have filed paperwork seeking charges against a substitute teacher who brought bullets to school. Police say a loaded magazine fell out of his pocket in a pre-K classroom. The incident was reported by a fellow teacher after the magazine with 9mm rounds hit the ground. Police say the teacher was escorted out of the building, then willingly went into the station where they suspended his license to carry. The department is pursuing criminal charges, including improper storage of a firearm. Robert Mueller's highly anticipated report now public. We're now getting a look at what Mueller uncovered during his nearly 2-year investigation. Parts of the report are redacted by Attorney General William Barr, but it shows the president panicked when he first found out about Mueller's appointment, even thinking his presidency was over. The report says, quote, "The president clearly did not commit obstruction of justice, and while this report does not conclude the president committed any crime, it also does not exonerate him." Earlier today, Attorney General William Barr said Mueller never asked for the determination.
I didn't talk to him directly about the fact that we were making the decision, but I am told that his reaction to that was that it was my prerogative as Attorney General to make that decision.
Mueller also said the president's efforts to influence the Russia investigation were, quote, "mostly unsuccessful because people surrounding the president declined to carry out his request." Closer to home, Congressman Jim McGovern says the president has repeatedly dismissed Russia's attacks on the presidential election. He says Congress must take a deeper look into the report to do their job and hold the administration accountable. Our Brittany Schaefer spoke with the congressman today and joins us now with more. Brittany?
Olivia, McGovern says the report shows Trump's campaign welcomed Russian election interference with open arms. He also says that the report shows Trump is guilty of obstruction of justice.
Sad that this country has to go through this.
Special counsel Robert Mueller's 448-page redacted report is out. Attorney General William Barr says it did not find any evidence the Trump campaign conspired with the Russian government, but Congressman Jim McGovern says the report is incriminating.
It shows that the president is a pathological liar. This report in no way exonerates him for obstruction of justice charges. It says that in the report, and it also, I think, presents a pretty compelling case for collusion as well.
President Donald Trump, on the other hand, is taking the report's release as a victory.
No collusion, no obstruction.
Alex Hindman is an assistant professor of political science at the College of the Holy Cross. He says the full release won't be swaying people's previous opinions of Trump.
This is a strategy that the Trump administration has long sort of pursued, is that you claim victory even when it's not maybe a true victory. And it's not a very favorable picture of the president, even if it didn't rise to the level of criminality. So it's in this odd middle space, and for that reason, I don't think it moves the needle much.
The report, now released to Congress, will allow them to decide the next steps. McGovern says when Congress meets after Easter, there'll be some serious discussion.
There's lots more follow-up that needs to be done, and we're going to have to decide what the next steps are. But no president should behave this way. This is outrageous, that this president thinks he's above the law and that he's not accountable to anybody, and he doesn't feel he's accountable to the American people. I mean, this is just not right.
And McGovern also saying that Barr is acting as Trump's personal attorney and he should resign. Live in Worcester, Brittany Schaefer, Worcester News Tonight.
Switching gears now, a walking tour of Worcester shows some of the city's historic sites. The Worcester Historical Museum hosts the 1-hour tours to show places involved in the American Revolution. They say it was more than just Boston, Lexington, and Concord because Worcester played an important role. The tours start at the Salisbury Mansion and stops at different locations like the Old Worcester Courthouse and the Meeting House.
And the whole time we're talking about some of the characters and some of the important people in Worcester and what happened during that critical summer and fall of 1774.
And the next tour is this Saturday and is limited to the first 12 attendees. The Worcester City Hospital opened in 1871, but didn't see its first black nurses graduate from its School of Nursing until 1952. Today, two sisters were honored for their work at a ceremony at the Senior Center. Our Rosalind Flaherty joins us now with more on their story. Rosalind.
Olivia, these two nurses were the first black nurses to graduate from the school, but they say getting there wasn't easy. Sisters Shirley Carter and Audrey Brown always wanted to become nurses.
I had never any other wishes.
Nursing is one of the most versatile jobs you can have.
The 87 and 88-year-olds were the first black nursing students to graduate from Worcester City Hospital School of Nursing in 1952. They were honored Thursday at the Worcester Senior Center and say the road to their professions wasn't easy.
If we came in at the same time, we might be able to room together because white students wouldn't room with us. And they'd had a few Jews, but they hadn't had too many problems. But they were really worried about degrading the uniform, putting it on a black student.
The city council, school, and students voted on whether or not they should be accepted. Only the students voted to have them attend. They say thankfully it was enough to get them in.
We were with friends and we didn't even think about that. The color, they never thought about it. We were just all together.
The sisters went on to receive other degrees and held many jobs in the nursing field. Brown let her license expire this year. Carter let it expire in her early 80s.
Once a nurse, always a nurse.
Calling themselves antiques, they say they've seen nursing change over the years, but they say the job was the most rewarding feeling.
Helping people is the most satisfying thing that I think a human can have.
Now, they are both retired, but like they said, they will always be nurses. Rosalind Flaherty, Worcester News Tonight.